Yeah. So naturally, I do the absolute douchebag thing. I see on CNBC this announcement coming from Wyoming Jackson Hole, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see it live because I was busy in meetings.
Wyoming or Kansas?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay.
Come on, bro.
I thought it was Kansas. Sorry.
What?
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, we got to work on your geography.
My bad.
Damn, boy.
You sure about this?
Yeah, I'm very sure about this.
Okay.
Something with it word Jackson and Hole in it. I know where it's at.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, have you seen Corey Feldman on stage, by the way?
I have not.
Oh, my God. It's like he's trying to replicate Michael Jackson, but he fakes playing the guitar. It's very strange.
Uh-huh.
You ever get bored, you can't sleep? That'll put you to sleep. You're welcome.
Okay.
Corey Feldman on stage on his music tour going on right now. Shout out to Corey.
Shout out to Corey.
We can probably get him on the podcast. In any event, so I see all this stuff in the news. I just got out of some meetings. I sit down in my office. I have a chair in the corner in the sun. I sit down and bask in the sun, and I think to myself, oh, my God, social media is going to be hot right now with all the real estate finance bros and all the real estate bros pimping out how rates are going to drop and the market's going to light on fire. So what do you got to do, Said?
Oh, you got to buy now.
You got to buy now.
You got to lock in that rate.
You got to lock it in, baby. It's going down.
Yeah.
You got to do it because the market's going to blow up. You don't want to be in the tail end of it blowing up.
Oh, and we're going to get into some of this data a little bit later in the show, which they're definitely going to start citing.
Oh, yeah. So naturally, I did the complete douchebag thing and started commenting sassy comments on all the people that had posted this saying that rates are going to drop for the mortgage industry. And it should be something that you all, as listeners of the show, know now. The mortgage rates in this country are strongly influenced by the 10-year Treasury.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in a yield curve inversion, which means that people think that the near-term investment is a better, more secure risk than the long-term investment. And the near-term investment for the inversion purposes is the 2-year Treasuries. So the 2-year Treasuries are actually priced higher than the 10-year Treasuries. That's an inversion. At some point in time, we've told you on the show multiple times that you're going to come out of that inversion. The 10-year Treasuries are going to be more valuable than the 2-year Treasuries and more certainty over the long run. And when that happens, mortgage rates are going to respond accordingly.
Mm-hmm. And that's what a healthy environment looks like.
Very normal, very healthy. And there are a lot of wonderful and brilliant economists out there, not green jacket wearing assholes like you who happen to win a Nobel and stuff like that, but whatever. And they're out there saying stuff like, you know what? All the Treasury activity is already priced into the market, Chris. So all this speak about rate cuts, the market already knows it's going to happen. And because it already knows it's going to happen, any responsive risks that you're going to see, any fallout in the economy, it's already priced in. The market's already saying this is going to happen. We know it's certainty. We know that Chicago Mercantile Exchange says that this is going to, the CME says this is a high probability of at least 25 basis points. We know that Bloomberg's World Interest Rate Probability says it's a high probability of 25 basis points. The market all knows it. So we're all pricing this activity in. So when they actually cut rates, you shouldn't see a whole lot of movement in the treasuries because it's already priced in.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on the matter?
They're absolutely high. Absolutely high. And there's lots of people I respect and love that have that opinion. And I've pinged one of them before. I was like, hey, man, like I don't understand why you feel this way. And this is a smart person, smarter than me.
Right.
And he was telling me that, you know what, look, I've seen this happen over 3 or 4 different recessionary economies. This is my feeling on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess on some level, it's all speculation. But I disagree wholeheartedly. I don't think it's priced in. I think the market's in complete denial. And I think you're seeing that by the Dow hitting highs again in the stock market.
Right. If there's anything that the Fed would want to accomplish during this pivot, during the third phase of this cycle, remember what we talked about. There's this whole cycle happens in 3 phases. They raise the rates, they're holding the rates, and now in the third phase, they're cutting the rates. If it were up to them, it will be a slow, gradual process.
Slow, gradual burn.
The same way they slowly raised the rates, minus those couple times where they raised it by 75 basis points, which was absolutely crazy, right? They would ideally like for this to happen very slowly. Now, the alarms on a recession have been ringing. The bells have been ringing, right? And there's real concerns, especially now with some of the data points that they were leaning on, right?
Like jobs?
Like jobs being completely revised, meaning like, hey, we can hold rates higher because, look, the labor market's doing great, right? But when stuff like that starts getting revised and now they're having to depend on, other data, there's no data for them to really lean on. So yeah, right now we are in an inverted yield, right? With the 2 years being higher than the 10-year. And when that does come out, that means the 10-year is going to rise, to your point, meaning that perhaps rates even go up from here.
And I think that's a strong possibility. I do think that is my humble opinion that you're going to see them stay flat or go up slightly over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good, healthy outcome because you don't want it to go the other way. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit and why you don't want it to go the other way.
But let's just play devil's advocate here. Now, what if it doesn't go according to plan? You got the Spider-Man meme, right?
Which we need to put that out.
Yeah. Fed's pointing at the government like this is your fault. Government's pointing at the Fed like this is their fault, right? Because they don't actually work together, right? Even though we know that they do. Okay. But they don't though. Clearly, they're screwing each other over, right? Now, if this does not go according to plan, and we do have a hard landing, we do get a Hardy.
You know me.
There's certain times where Hardys are good. Other times, not so good. Okay? Then what could happen? Could the 10-year drop if we hit a hard landing?
Yeah, it could.
And there's a major recession?
No, it certainly could. There's been some correlations historically to recessionary economies and the 10-year dropping like that.
But that's not what the mortgage bros are leaning on. That's not what they're citing.
No, because in order for that to happen, you would probably have that driven by home values going down. Mm-hmm. That's what would be the impetus for the yield curve to pivot in such a way where you saw the 10-year drop down and there's more uncertainty in the future. If home values are coming down, you're in a recessionary economy, what do? You say, shit, man, I'm worried about the near term. I got more confidence in the long term, and the 10-year will typically rise.
Yeah.
But if people start to lose confidence in the long term and start getting more confident in what's happening right now, which is what you're seeing in the market, the 10-year starts to drop. And that's where mortgage rates start to drop, right? Because people aren't locking in for the long term. It's a very interesting time. Look, I don't think anyone has a definitive answer. I can just tell you, based on my experience, there's one glaring problem. That's home values. And I think home values are still way too high. One of the properties in my neighborhood, it's an attached townhome, 3-bedroom, right? I don't know how many square footage. I probably should know, but it can't be more than like 2,200.
Okay.
$1.2 million just sold. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like that's just insanely wild. You're talking no front yard, no backyard, attached townhome. Beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah.
But damn.